I make it to converse with other humans on a level that I don't have the words to do that with. So Alex, I did not mean to pry into your personal life, but when someone's your age, it's fascinating for them to do things alone, launch alone. It's another way to remind people to take time. If you don't take time, if you don't bring yourself back into the moment, you're losing the perception of the world around you. The Africans that I've met would like to be someplace where they're just all Africans and no one notices them. They're just people.
Yeah.
And I think probably you feel very much the same way, but your English is outstanding.
Thank you.
So you can use that to your
But again,
advantage.
just the looks of being different is, however good the English is, it never changes that.
Nature requires time. You know, a bunny sticks its head out from under a leaf. If you're on your phone, you miss that. But more importantly, if you're on your phone, you miss the energies around you. They come out with theories about the ever-expanding universe, and you say to yourself, but where is it expanding to? I mean, even the way humans think is a way to organize chaos. I think there are a lot of parts of humans that are dark, and I've done very dark work. But it's never dark in the sense that it's never hopeless. It's always about the fact that energy, the possibility of transcending the darkness is there. But I think time is more precious as you age. So when you're very young, time is you have huge pocketfuls of time. As you age, your pockets are diminished. So you say, well, if 1 in every 100,000 people is a genius, China has more geniuses than anybody. Why did you come to the United States to study? You develop and refine your mastery, and that gives you freedom. How you do that depends on who you are.
Do you think doing realism is actually harder than abstraction?
I think doing great art, meaning your vision becomes perfectly honed, is hard, whether you're painting a hand or whether you're painting a mark. I think great art allows the artist and the viewer to transcend time together.
Do you ever find a sense of hypocrisy or pretentiousness in what a lot of contemporary artists do?
It's smoke and mirrors, and it's smoke and mirrors everywhere. My name is Danielle Frankenthal. I am a painter. I do installations. I did sculpture. I've been doing this for a very long time, since I was a child, almost continuously. I work mostly in light, the changing light and how that reflects time itself.
Yeah, I just want to hear more about your concept and your style.
Well, I work on acrylic resin. I work on more than one layer because I think people see through. As they age, they see through more and more cultural overlay of their sensual perceptions. I am interested in light because I've always been interested in light. I'm interested in it, of course, all painters are, from the specific light of color. I'm interested in the light that is a symbol of spiritualism, which is used in almost all religions. I use the gold because that was used in Renaissance art and European art, and it's also used a great deal in Japanese art, particularly momoyama, high decorative, but also spiritual, because gold represents the unchanging. Whether it is unchanging or not, that's a different story. But when I use it, it does not represent money. It represents a divine, if you will.
Why does this art history factor influence you?
I think of myself as part of a guild that has is international now. I mean, consciously international. It's been international for certainly a few hundred years, of people who make things. Some of us make them just as decoration. Some of us make them just for themselves. I make it to converse with other humans on a level that I don't have the words to do that with. I think art history also allows one a different view into other cultures. For example, when I studied Chinese art and Japanese art together, there's a fluidity, a lyrical fluidity in a lot of Chinese painting. I'm not talking about contemporary art now.
Yeah.
Because that's not what I studied because it was a long time
Yeah.
ago. Whereas in Japanese brush painting, there's usually it's a word and I cannot for the moment remember the word. It stops the eye. It is to remind the eye of imperfection. I think that tells you so much about the two different cultures. Just that little piece of information. If you study Baroque art, you can study it all through Europe, and then you would get versions of what the Germans did, what the Swiss did, what the Spaniards did, and each reflects their own retake of a spiritual concept, which is what Baroque was brought out to be after the Reformation. But history is our story, is our human story.
But you also walk very beyond traditional art history, even though you study so much.
I'm interested in nature. I try to reflect that in my work. This one isn't finished, but so I call this series, and there are a bunch of them, the Mist series, because mist is interesting. When you go to look at something and you go, say, to a valley, you look down into a valley in Hawaii, there'll be nothing there. And people will turn around and just walk away. The mist will then move and the whole valley becomes available, and then the mist moves back in. That process of seeing and not seeing and waiting to see and waiting for things to be made perceptible to us, that's very interesting. So Alex, I did not mean to pry into your personal life, but when someone's your age, it's fascinating for them to do things alone, launch alone. So were you here during COVID?
No, I came here right after COVID. But you know, like, I dream to have a good life, and America has more opportunities than China.
And we still do, actually.
Yeah.
It is, strangely enough, I have often, when I take an Uber, a lot of my Uber drivers are from Africa. And they'll say things to me like, I came here, I made money, and then I'm going to go home when I'm in my 60s and buy a farm in Africa.
That's also kind of my dream. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to make the money and I'll go back home.
Because you can, but I think the Africans that I've met would like to be someplace where they're just all Africans and no one notices them. They're just people.
Yeah.
And I think probably you feel very much the same way, but your English is outstanding.
Thank you.
So you can use that to your
But again,
advantage.
just the looks of being different is, however good the English is, it never changes that.
That is true. You don't look so different in China. And
Feels good to be belong.
look, people want to belong. They feel safer.
And they actually are safer.
They are safer. I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, I don't think of looking, as a friend once said, but you pass. You can go anywhere and people just think of you as a white person. But the world my parents came from, I would have been considered a mud person. And I would have been killed. So how you identify people is also not just skin tone and eye structure. You know, depends how intimate the environment is.
How, on a very technical perspective, how do you typically make these things?
Well, this one has 2 layers.
Yeah.
It has only a very little bit of paint on the front. So it has paint on the back of the front, paint on the back layer, and on the back of the back layer. I move the pieces apart and together because acrylic resin, which is what I work on instead of gloss, transmits color and light in a different way than glass does. So the way that these colors show through each other has to do with all the levels of the materials I use. I use also this paint here, which is an interference paint. It has little crystals in it. So the point of view, literally the point of view of the art of the viewer changes what they see. So you asked me about gilding. Now this is gilding. It's done with pieces of, this is not gold gilding, which I could not afford to do. It's done with pieces of patented metal that are simply glued onto a surface. I've already glued this. I've already covered it with a sealant because it isn't gold. And then the other side will be used as the back of one of these ocean paintings. So just a little bit of the gold and the color will come through another layer that's more aqueous. It's still not quite dry.
And why does that matter?
Why does it matter?
Yeah.
It's another way to remind people to take time. If you don't take time, if you don't bring yourself back into the moment, you're losing the perception of the world around you. Now, I live in a culture, I live not far from here, where everyone's on their phone all the time. And I wonder why people don't take ecology seriously. Well, they don't look at nature. Nature requires time. You know, a bunny sticks its head out from under a leaf. If you're on your phone, you miss that. But more importantly, if you're on your phone, you miss the energies around you. You miss the political energies too, because you're being fed constant information. So these are more meditative. They're also spiritual. They're about another way of what I call seeing the other side of the air. What is actually out there beside us and our universe, our perceptions. I mean, I studied meditation and stuff, so.
With this meditative idea, I can also see a sense of chaos in it. So I wonder if there's a reason.
I think, well, but a lot of us deal with chaos barely contained. I mean, we live in a universe of chaos barely contained. I'm not a physicist, so I can't say it from the point of view of mathematics, but you know, they come out with theories about like the ever-expanding universe, and you say to yourself, but where is it expanding to? I mean, even the way humans think is a way to organize chaos. Governments are trying to organize chaos. Religions try to organize chaos. Certain forms of meditation allow you to leave those organizations behind and simply, as they say, be in the moment. And I think it's useful. It also makes life more fun.
A lot of people convey things that are very grotesque or very like dark, like about death or something. And then, so are you ever worried that your work is too peaceful?
Well, if you turn around and look at the black painting behind you, that's part of a triptych called an event horizon. So I don't think it's too peaceful. I don't think the piece of sculpture in front, which is about PTSD, is too peaceful. I did stick the head, it's not really supposed to be up there, but I did a whole installation in Columbus, Georgia called A War Room. I'm the child of refugees, so I come out of stories of war. I think war is terrible. I think war is terrible for soldiers, and the only people it's not terrible are for ammunitions producers. I think there are a lot of parts of humans that are dark, and I've done very dark work. I did a series after 9/11 where all the paintings almost are black. But it's never dark in the sense that it's never hopeless. It's always about the fact that that energy, the possibility of transcending the darkness is there. So an event horizon is the opposite of that. It's a place outside of a black hole in the universe. Do you know what an event horizon is? So in physics, black holes suck energy. And an event horizon is the space around a black hole where once light gets there, it can't be taken out. It just gets sucked in. So, you know, it has its own darkness. There's humor in it, but it is, I can't show you the whole piece because this is a chaos moment in the studio.
Interesting. How did your artwork evolve to become like this?
I started painting on traditional materials, and I used to be in another building. This is many years ago, before 9/11, and I ran out of canvas. So I went down to the garbage, like artists do, and in the building had been a framer who used acrylic, used basically the cheapest acrylic to frame. And I thought, oh, well, Renaissance painters painted on wood. I'll just gesso it. It's hard, and I'll paint on it. And that has evolved into using the transparency, the three-dimensional aspects. In these, you can't see it so much, but in earlier work, there's shadows that change in the light all the time. But I think time is more precious as you age. So when you're very young, time is just, you have huge pocketfuls of time. As you age, your pockets are diminished. So time becomes more precious.
Do you think your identity as a individual can separate from your identity as an artist?
I think we have many roles. I'm a wife. I have family that I take care of. I was a caretaker and a caregiver. I've done hospice volunteering. They're all facets of one being. And even that being evolves. Bhava in Hindu, bhava, becoming. We are becoming.
Interesting. Do you ever try to stand out in your work
Stand out.
from like other people in the area?
I think each person who follows their own vision stands out in their own way. I'm not a movie star. I'm a maker of art, and if I give talks to high school kids about the process of surviving in the art world. I've had solo museum shows. I've given talks at the museums, but I don't know what that means to stand out. There are hundreds of thousands of artists. Some are famous, some are parts of the big art conglomerates like Hauser and Wirth or Gagosian, and those gallery systems put you in positions where you are advertising for them. That would be what's called standing out in art. But I think of myself more as a maker of art. I don't think of myself as representing all artists or female artists or American artists. I just make things. I just make things, And I've done it since I was a child. And I've had lots of shows. And I'm having more shows. I just had a show in New York City.
Yeah. Sometimes I get quite bothered when artists involve their identity too much or politics too much in their work. Like, I'm a female and I'm...
Well, that's a whole story, isn't it? So then you would think of, you have Michelangelo on one hand, doing the very acceptable, in a way, church work, and then doing things that weren't so acceptable. But then you have Caravaggio, who was also doing art for the church, who wasn't acceptable, who had a very nasty personality. Both great artists.
Yeah.
And so you then say, well, there's room for everybody. I don't do figural painting anymore. I started, like many artists, doing life drawing and figural painting. My culture is very individually oriented, and that really doesn't interest me so much. I mean, there are Chinese artists who are very individually artists, and some of them came and had careers in this country.
Yeah.
But I know from reading it, because I read a book on contemporary Chinese art, that your art schools produce phenomenal numbers of very well-crafted artists.
Yeah.
And many of those artists work for foreign artists. You have to make a living.
And for a cheap price too.
And for a cheap price too. Well, until they get famous.
Yeah.
If ever. It's hard when you come out of art school and there are 1,000 of them.
Yeah.
But everything about China is like that, isn't it? So you say, well, if 1 in every 100,000 people is a genius.
Yeah.
China has more geniuses than anybody else. You make this wonderful little car, the BYD. It has the best it's like, I want a BYD. I don't want a Tesla. It has the best battery. It has this. It's like, it's just statistically, China's in a very different place.
Yeah.
Why did you come to the United States to study?
Well, thank you for the compliments to my country. I mean, yeah, because there are so many people in competition, so like to stand out, you need to have like an even better thing.
I see.
Yeah, so it's quite difficult. Since you know like quite a bit or a lot about this Chinese education system, so I just wanted to hear your opinion on which side do you think is better, like whether it's like all the precision and accuracy in like the China art academies or the more like creativity driven side of like RISD or someone like you.
I think it really depends on the individual who has to go through the system. I think for some people, having that mastery of technique gives them tremendous freedom. And for some people, it crushes whatever individual vision they had. In my country, there is a lot of sloppy art made. And in some ways, it's celebrated. Now, I'm not talking about outsider or visionary art because that's a separate subject, but I look sometimes and I think, wow, that's a bad painting. It's badly painted. It's this, and it's, for me, in media race, for me, in the middle is the best way to go. You develop and refine your mastery, and that gives you freedom. How you do that depends on who you are, and who you are depends partly on the culture you come from.
Do you think doing realism is actually harder than abstraction?
I think doing great art, meaning your vision becomes perfectly honed, is hard, whether you're painting a hand or whether you're painting a mark. A great mark maker would be Liu Fan. Now he's Korean, but he makes marks. That's all he does. He doesn't paint people or pictures. He makes perfect marks. It's just as hard to make a perfect mark as it is to draw a hand.
I want to hear more on what you define as great art.
That's a good question because even that changes. I think great art allows the artist and the viewer to transcend time together.
Wow, that's very deep.
You came to the right place.
So when you do these gallery shows or things like that, how much of the concepts do you think are more like for commercial stuff, and how much do you think it truly comes from your inner self?
I, on the whole, just do what I do, and the galleries come to me. If I wanted to do a museum show, it's different. I have to make a proposal. But I don't make art to sell art. On the other hand, I just did a show, and my galleries asked me for a specific size. She didn't ask me for a subject or a palette. She just said, I need smaller work. It's selling right now, and I have a big show upstairs. And so I did this size. I did 8 of these for an installation. But once I start, that's me. I don't like commissions. I don't like being told what to paint. I've done some commissions. I did a commission for a ship that was coming out of Macau that was based on another piece. And that was fun. It was a challenge for me because I had to do a very large piece. So I didn't have the equipment, didn't have enough tables. But in the end, the piece was still me.
Do you ever find a sense of hypocrisy or pretentiousness in what a lot of contemporary artists do?
It's smoke and mirrors. And it's smoke and mirrors everywhere. How do you separate, if you have 1,000 kids graduating from an art school in China, how do you separate the ones that are more acceptable so they'll be financed and they can go on and maybe perceive their own vision or not, and the ones that are a little rebellious so they don't get any financing? If they don't manage to get out of China, they're screwed. How do you, every time I read a review and someone says, the most important artist of the, I want to say, how many times can you say that? Now, David Hockney died recently. He was a remarkable painter.
Yeah.
And he was once described as learning to paint in public. And he did. His early paintings are very primitive. And he drew all the time. And then as he mastered drawing, But the person that was David Hockney came through what he did. And that's what made him so wonderful. And he had a sense, those swimming pool paintings are so marvelous. They capture a whole way of thinking, a being, a time in American history.
Yeah.
And and timing is also a factor.
Thank you.
Thank you.